Do you remember at school when you would hand in a piece of work and the feedback that you would receive a few days later would look a little bit like this? Your work with loads of red pen all over it, things underlined, things scratched out, sometimes talking about what went well, but often talking about what the problems were. We are often really tempted to leave feedback that feels and looks similar to this because it's how we've been socialized into believing what good feedback looks like. And there's an issue with this. Feedback that looks like this is cognitively overwhelming for students. It is like starting a lecture by introducing 15 concepts in 5 minutes. It is simply the student is unable to take in all of the information that you are providing here. They're unable to see what is in the foreground, what is in the midground, and what is in the background. And instead, you're providing them with this plethora of things that they could, should, or need to be doing next. And because it's cognitively overwhelming, because all of this information is new for a student, we can see that that would impact the confidence level of the student who is receiving the feedback. And that can often then turn them off of actually reading more. They don't want to just keep reading about another thing that they then have to do. So in leaving lots and lots of feedback throughout the script, while we think we might be being more thorough and specific and doing the student a favor, actually what we're doing is we're turning them off, and that this can reduce the possibility of behavior change because they can't see what are the main things to focus on. Should I be spending as much time on my argument as I should on my grammar? You need to give them an indication, way of going beyond the headline and saying, well, here are the main things to focus on. So this technique, I'd like you to imagine that you're sitting down with the student and you've only got a few minutes to go over the feedback. So if you've only got a few minutes, you are going to structure hierarchically that feedback in terms of the most to the least important. Next time that you give feedback on a student's script, then imagine that you're sitting with them. And a really, really simple technique to use is to start by just giving one main comment about the script. If there was one thing for the student to do differently or to do the same next time, what is the single most important thing that they could do? If you give that to a student, the Rosetta Stone, you're passing them one big concept that they can then understand, and you can use that to understand all of the smaller comments that you might have left afterwards. So for example, your main comment might be about doing more reading. You want to communicate to the student that you want them to do more academic reading. And what you can then say is, well, here's what the point is, here's the evidence for that, here's the example, and here's the link. And you can give that as the main thing. If you do this differently next time, then your mark is likely to increase. After that, you can give a couple of smaller subpoints. So you could say, if you change that main aspect, then this will also impact various other elements. So if you do more reading and if you improve your understanding of theory, then that will impact your analysis, and that will also impact your evaluation. But you're framing it through this one aspect. And this helps the student to see, well, if I'm just going to do one thing, then I can focus on this. So what you're doing is you're helping the student to understand what is in the foreground and what is in the midground. After that, you can focus on the stray observations. You can focus on the referencing, on the grammar, on those kind of smaller aspects. But these can be just in the background. So you're helping the student to understand how to interpret the feedback rather than just bombarding them with a plethora of aspects that they have to improve. So if we do this, if we offer more focused feedback rather than a scattergun approach, then we're much more likely to see behavior change in students.